Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Wheeler, we thank you for taking the time to come and be with us. You've got a feisty term going over there at the FCC, and in Tennessee, we would say you're kicking up a little dust, and it's causing concern. Many of our content creators have a tremendous amount of concern about your approach, and many of our healthcare innovators who are looking at apps and telemedicine concepts and things of that nature are also expressing concern. And I think that probably your actions have inserted a good bit of uncertainty into the innovation sector that is looking at how we best utilize all things internet for quality of life and access for economic development, for healthcare, for innovation. And I've got just a couple of simple questions for you. First of all, on cost-benefit analysis, and I thank you that last night your team sent a letter over to us on that question. But what concerned me was that in the letter you say that this is just a tool. Cost-benefit analysis is just one of many tools that would go into your decision, and your NPRM does not include an initial cost-benefit analysis. And your predecessor, Mr. Janikowski, in this committee came before us and assured us he was going to use this, and I'm actually going to read you his statement that he gave to us. He said, "During my tenure, I brought particular focus to this process, including by directing the early involvement of our chief economist in the analytical process of rulemaking, and by having FCC staff consult with the staff of the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs on best practices in conducting cost-benefit analysis." And I think that it is an incredibly important component of this to look at what the cost of net neutrality rules would be to the consumer and also to industry. So I want to know from you, are you going to give us a commitment right now that you will conduct a thorough and extensive cost-benefit analysis of the actual cost to the consumer and to industry on these rules?
Thank you, Ms. Blackburn. I agree that cost-benefit analysis are crucial to decision-making, and in this rulemaking, we specifically ask what are the costs of one approach or another, and what are the benefits one or another, so that we can collect that information and have that kind of analysis. I agree with the importance of cost-benefit analysis.
Okay. Let me ask you this also. You know, the Commission's funding really comes from those that are regulated by the FCC, but we have some that are not, they're impacted by this, but they are not regulated and paying those fees. So in the net neutrality context, for example, companies like Google and Netflix want the FCC to act on their behalf and petition or visit the agency, if you will, in support of those efforts, but they free ride because they are not paying the fees and bearing that part of the regulatory burden. So since they seem so ready and willing to rely on regulation to help them with their business models, how would you recommend that those entities share in the cost, pay their part of the cost of funding the agency?
With all respect, that's above my pay grade. That's a decision that this committee and the Congress can make, and setting those rules.
I'm asking for what your recommendation would be. They come and they lobby you, and they're pushing the net neutrality rules, and while they may like what you are saying because they want you to step in, we have a lot of people out there who are paying the fees that are not in favor of what you are doing, and we have a lot of innovators who are not in favor of what you are doing, and your door has the name chairman on it. So I'm asking, what is your perspective?
So our effort in all of this is to represent the American people, not Company A or Company B. We have been told by the Congress from whom we can collect regulatory fees, and we do. If there is a decision that we should collect regulatory fees from somebody else, that's something we obviously will take. If there is a decision that we should expand regulatory authority over other entities, that's obviously something we should do. But that is a decision that is out of our hands.
I yell back.